Hello and welcome to Those Forking Fangirls, where we talk all things nerdy book, TV, movie, pop culture, fandoms, and how they integrate into our adult lives. I'm Christine.
And I'm Natasha.
And today we're going to be discussing travel. We're going to be talking about the top five, or not, maybe not the top five, but five places that we have traveled to, how it relates to fandom for us, how it kind of intertwines with the bookish movie TV things we love. I said love and like at the same time. What we disliked about it, what we would do differently, and then five places or four places, depending on time, we would really love to go in the future. So that should be fun. But first, we have a lot of snap, crackle, pop culture news that I'm so excited to dig into today. Natasha,
Yeah.
how are you feeling about Olivia Rodrigo's new album, Guts? Guts is out.
I love it. It's so good. It's so freaking good. I'm obsessed. I'm obsessed.
It is very good. I just was able to start listening yesterday because I have been traveling and I didn't want to listen to it without listening to it, you know?
Yeah.
As is, I feel like I haven't listened to every song because I was listening on my flight and I was falling asleep.
Same.
But
I feel like I haven't had a chance to actually sit and listen to all the lyrics. There's definitely some that are in my head.
Yeah.
There's two
they're really
standouts.
good.
Yeah. And there's more songs
stands
than
out
we
for
got last time.
Yes, I'm really glad. It was a short album, Sour. What is standing out to you?
Well, Lacey, I woke up singing it this morning, in her, Lacey, oh, Lacey.
Yes, I too really liked Lacey, and there's these conspiracy theorists being like vampires about Taylor Swift, and I'm listening to Lacey, and I was like, if there was any song that was about Taylor Swift, it's Lacey.
Yeah.
I feel your compliments like bullets on skin, and then the people are people, but it's like you are made of angel dust. I love that part. Her voice goes all over the place on dust. It's really, really good. And yeah, I mean, if you listen to the lyrics on Vampire, it's a big, big stretch. But if you want to be digging into something, that's the song that would make the most sense. Not that we want to pit any ladies against each other. But
Katie
Olivia,
says, okay, am I
has
crazy, or is angel dust another term for cocaine?
it is, but it also in terms of the song, it doesn't feel like she's alluding to cocaine.
Yeah.
Charlotte
says, wait, is there Olivia and Taylor drama that I should know about?
Charlotte, it's all about Olivia's first album where she did what is it? She did an interpolation on 3 steps forward and 1 step back of oh my gosh, the song about
New Year's
midnight.
Day.
New Year's Day. The song about midnight. It's completely blank about the name. Okay. I want your laughter Okay. Anyway, so she did an interpolation of that and she got permission, but for Deja Vu, I guess it was too much like Cruel Summer, and Taylor's team ended up suing for partial credit, I feel like, at that point. I don't know exactly what happened, but there was some, controversy up in there. And there was about every single one of Olivia's songs. It kind of set a precedent for her being a copycat, even though music is all inspired by other music just by default of being a human being who listens to music.
Yeah, I know that there was another controversy with Paramore, and that they sued
Misery Business.
Yeah.
And the song, oh my God, I'm forgetting every name of every song right now, but one with the music video about high school and the fire behind her. Oh my God, I can't think of any songs.
Hold on.
Do you know what I'm talking about?
Yeah.
Good for you. Good for you. Good for you in Misery Business. Good for you sounded like Avril Lavigne meets Paramore to me. And but that's the thing. All songs are like that. Like, and so there was a lot of her giving partial credit for all these different songs on her first album because it was her first album and she was really young. And it's just, I don't know exactly. We don't know what went down behind the scenes in terms of like asking for this credit, you know? So that's where people get the drama. Yeah, Avril, it feels like a big influence on Guts. So Olivia Rodrigo is really going for like a punk pop edge on this album is what it feels like to me. And her lyrics are very edgy. The faces that she's making in all her pictures are like, like she's like putting her tongue out to the side and closing her eyes and doing like a rock on all the time. And again, a lot of these songs are very much like pulling the dark parts of her out and talking about them, you know, front and center. So another one that's really been standing out to me is It's Me Who's Making the Bed. I really like that one. I wrote that one down. And Diary of a Homeschooled Kid. I think they're both really, really good. And of course, there's Perfect All-American Bitch.
I like that one. I think that one's gonna grow on me a little bit. But there's the song where she talks about the guy she met that one summer, and she's like kind of talking through it.
Yes, Get Him Back.
Yeah, I think that's it.
Is that the one? They're kind of blending for me because I haven't listened enough yet. But Katie says I low-key love Get Him Back. I like it too. Again, it's like fun. He's terrible, but I want him so much, and I want to like, I want to kiss his face with an uppercut. Like she like wants to murder him but also loves him at the same time, which is such a fun concept. A lot of these things that she's talking about kind of remind me of things that were more okay to say in the 90s but like aren't now, you know, like even punching somebody, like we wouldn't say it now, but in the 90s it was totally like violence is fine. And she's like being edgy by bringing it back to the forefront as like something she's gonna say out loud. So yeah, in the song Katie says, she says I want to meet his mom just to tell her her son sucks, which I love that line too. I feel like there is a line like that in another song because I've seen a TikTok of someone doing like going to someone's mom's house and leaving them a cake that says your mom sucks. Like months ago.
Your son sucks?
Yeah, your son sucks. Yeah. And I'm like, what is that from before? Like, what is she referencing in that? Anyway, lots of good songs on Guts. And maybe next week I'll have more of a handle on which ones I love the most.
We're going to be blasting it when we go to Forks.
To Forks!
Our 3-hour drive.
3.5 hour drive to Forks.
Okay, can we talk about Sophie Turner and Joe Jonas?
Yes. Okay, wait. Can I just tell the story of as soon as we finished recording last week, Natasha and I were sitting here like talking and I just pulled up Twitter and gasped. And she was like, "What? What's wrong?" And I was like, "Sophie Turner and Joe are getting a divorce."
That was even like the rumor mill. That wasn't even the official yet. When we saw that.
It wasn't rumor because it was like official sites that were saying it though.
Oh, yeah.
It just said that they're on the road to getting a divorce.
Yeah. It's already messy, and it's at first we were very sad, but now I'm just mad. And like
Why are you mad?
I'm mad that Joe's camp is painting her to be this like awful mother who's absent. Have you seen this?
Oh, but since then hasn't he? No, but there's been updates since then where he posted like a message from the two of them.
Yeah. So a lot of people on TikTok there was this one lawyer who pulled the statement apart, and talked to, anyway, she pulled the statement apart. It was very interesting. I'll try to find it and link it for people to watch. But because they wanted to like address the rumors that were coming out. It's still, I don't know. I'm all for the Queen of the North. I could care less about Joe. Like, I'm always gonna side, probably. I don't know. Who knows? But yeah,
I'm
like
sad that they weren't able to make it work. They have 2 kids and one's really small.
yeah.
But
They were together. They were married for 4 years, and I do think it's
Yeah.
interesting that like at first, well, I know that they pushed that statement out, but like she's like filming in the UK, and then he's on tour, and there's like all these paparazzi pictures of him with the kids, and then her like out. I feel like it's the first time that she's actually been out and actually done something else besides being a mom for a long time, and she's still so young.
yeah, no, she hasn't been doing like any movies or TV shows. She had a very small role in that revenge movie on Netflix, but that's the only thing I've seen her in lately.
Yeah.
So, yeah, God forbid. I mean, the idea that Sophie hasn't been with the kids is ridiculous. I mean, Joe is literally on tour. Like,
Well, yeah, no, that's why
I
it
don't-
is.
and she was there on tour with him. Like, we saw pictures of her there. This is why it was all so surprising, because the thing that kind of made me a little suspicious of like what's going on with them is when Joe posted on his birthday and she wasn't in any of the pictures on his Instagram. And I was like, huh? Where's Sophie? And I had seen a couple days before her at the concert and like TikToks and stuff, and girls gave her bracelets, friendship bracelets and stuff. So I don't know. It's sad. I hope that it ends amiably and it doesn't blow up into any further drama, because whatever it is, it's going to affect the kids in the future
Yeah.
if they're saying anything bad about each other and all that stuff. So
Yeah. I saw an opinion about this girl was saying, she's like, well, the root of the problem is, what I thought that was interesting, I'll just share. The root of the problem is that Joe has always tried to be cool, but Sophie Turner is just innately cool. And like,
she is innately cool.
yes. And I know that someone from his team told her, I'm like, okay, well, you want to get it big on TikTok? Add Sophie to your TikTok videos. Like, she's the one who also changed the narrative around about Mr. Perfectly Fine when she started singing the song to him in that TikTok video.
Interesting. All right. In opposite news, though, happier news. Joey King got married this weekend. Chris Evans got married this weekend. Derek Huff and Haley got married this past, I don't know if it was this weekend or last week, because they're in Italy already.
Yeah.
This past month. Lots of fun, happy marriages starting off this week.
I didn't believe the Chris Evans one. I'm like, didn't they just get engaged? Like, that was crazy. But yeah, there
know.
was photos of some of the Avengers cast together.
Oh, I didn't see
Yeah,
that.
sitting and having like a meal together. And everyone's like, oh, I think the rumor is it's not been confirmed yet. It's just like a rumor, but I don't think there's going to be really much.
The confirmation of their wedding.
Yeah.
Did you see Joey King's pictures on Instagram? Her dress was
Yeah,
so
with
cool.
Vogue.
Yes, and wherever she got married, I don't know, somewhere overseas, it looks like it was so
got
beautiful.
married it was like Sicily or something, or no, in Spain. I think
Gorgeous.
she was wearing an Oscar de la Renta custom dress. I think both of her dresses, or three. I think 2 or 3 of her dresses.
I saw it too. I don't know.
Yes,
It was so
it
pretty.
was all these 3D printed or 3D flowers.
The
It was
scales.
so gorgeous.
Oh, it looked like scales to me.
No, they were flowers.
And yeah, she has some beautiful pictures up. And Sabrina Carpenter was there too.
I like Sabrina's photos.
She also posted about it. Anyway, all right. I want to talk about in Taylor Swift news this week. This is unhinged non-news, but I want to talk about it because I was thinking about it a lot after this was posted. So Joe Alwyn, her ex-boyfriend now, and they dated for 6 years, posted on his Instagram for the first time in over a year. And it felt very coded. Okay, we know how Taylor Swift likes to do things in riddles, and he posted and the only reason I'm now saying this is that I studied these pictures for a while and was thinking all of this, and then I saw a TikTok come up, a girl talking about it too, and I was like, I'm not the only crazy, obviously, who's sitting here doing this. How could I not be? There's so many of us. All right, so there's a picture of ivory colored stone. And obviously in Ivy, she talks about growing over the person like stone and she's the ivy, or, I'm forgetting all the specific lyrics right now. Amy says Taylor has us clowning forever, but this is not Taylor. This is Joe. There's also a picture of Joe when he was a kid dressed up as Robin Hood with a bow and an arrow, like the archer. Okay. And there's also a clip of Bon Iver randomly performing a song, which Exile is about, a couple falling apart and the branches on that they're standing on are too weak to hold them up and all this stuff. And in her song You're Losing Me, she says specifically, how long could we be a sad song? And all of Folklore is their sad song. They wrote a lot of that together, and I think a lot of that's about the problems that happened in their relationship that they battled so hard to get through. And okay, also in You're Losing Me, she says that my face was gray, but you wouldn't admit that we were sick. And the only pictures with Joe's face in it in this little carousel are black and white, and his face is gray because it's in black and white. Okay. And there's this lone chair in this room that is all light, and that's the first picture. It's just a chair in a room. It looks like in a cabin. It's very Folklore vibes, and it's light. And in You're Losing Me, she says this thing about we used to love this room because of the light. Now I sit here in the dark and wonder if it's time to go. I wonder if it's time, or something like that. There's also a random bucket hat with the 33 on it. It could look like two lips kissing, but it looks like a 33 to me, like a 3 going one way and a 3 going the other way, like back-to-back 3s, so they're not both the right way. Okay. And she's 33 years old, and she also says in her line, I know this is very unhinged.
I love that you're connecting these dots, but I just want to know why.
Why? Because I think that he misses her and maybe is trying to reach out and in speaking her language. Okay, he wants her back. Okay, and there's this line, and hits different. It hits different this time, which I solidly believe is about their relationship when whatever happened the first time happened, and it says I cried over the hat. And he's showing a hat with a 33 on it. Taylor's 33 years old. It's a hat. There's a lot going on here, you guys. Okay. There's also a picture of patches that look like lover patches. There's a random street, and there's a sign that you can see in a window that looks like it says lover. There's a lot. There's a random drawing of an apartment building that's Cornelia Street vibes. It's all weirdly coded for Taylor. So I don't know. I'm rooting for them to work it out because the songs are so powerful. They had something really intense. Okay.
It's the songs.
All right. Before we move into our other segments, I want to just quickly remind everybody that my third book, Attached at the Hip, is now available for pre-order. There is a link in the description. It is Survivor meets a rom-com. If the show Survivor, if you've ever seen that, you don't have to have seen it, but it's that kind of concept meets a rom-com. It's super fun. I am so excited about it, and I would really appreciate if you want to support my author career if you pre-ordered it. It's in the the link's in the description. I really, really appreciate all your support. Thank you so much. All right. It comes out May 21st, 2024. Oh, wait. Okay. Can I just mention, I don't know. There are so many people in my life that think the book is out because I showed the cover. It's like no one reads anything I write anywhere because it says everywhere. Pre-order. My dad went to the bookstore trying to get it.
Oh, Lord.
Like, what are you doing?
Well, that's your dad.
I know, but
sure everyone else.
I was at a wedding this weekend, and all these bridesmaids, I've now, newly befriended them or, seen them for the first time in like 10 years since college. And they're all so sweet. And it's like, your book came out. And I'm like, no. But it's available for pre-order. Like all of them. And my best friend who I was maid of honoring for was like, I was telling them because they kept telling me the same thing. Like, oh, that's so exciting. Her book came out. And she said, no, I think it was just a cover reveal, but it should be available for pre-order soon. And I'm like, Jen, it is available for pre-order. I said that everywhere. How do people not know? Please pre-order it.
Most people don't read descriptions. It's like you either have to
honestly,
just put it out there on the post.
It's insane. I did, though. There's a picture that says pre-order link in my bio on it because of this reason. Yeah. But still. Anyway, so that just goes to show I have to keep posting about it. Oh, my goodness. Anyway, all right. We're going to move into what right now, but before we do that, I want to take a quick second to thank all of you listening out there. Thank you so much. We appreciate your listenership so hard. If you haven't already, we'd really love it if you followed the podcast for free in your favorite podcast listening app so you never miss an episode that gets released. If you like to watch the visual version on our YouTube, youtube.com/@those4kingfangirls, you could subscribe there for free so you never miss the video version when that drops. You can follow us on Instagram where we always remind you that something has dropped at those4kingfangirls, and we post fun clips and random videos that we might do that are relevant to the show.
That might go weirdly viral.
We posted an ACOTAR, find your mate video, and it has blown up on our 4King Fangirls Instagram. So that was fun this past week. Mm-hmm. Anyway, and if you want to support the show in a bigger way, we have a Patreon. So this is a listener-supported show. We don't have regular sponsors, so it's made possible. This show is made possible by listeners like you, and if you become a patron, you get all sorts of fun perks. You can be here while we're recording and put in your 2 cents as we're talking in the chat. You can hear our half an hour extra show we do after every single show called Fangirl Tea Time. This week, I'm going to be talking about my maid of honor experience. I've got lots of stories to share. I'm excited. And we talk about just deeper, more personal stuff every week. So the link to that is in the description and the show notes. And there's lots of tiers and other fun perks as well. All right. Moving on to what right now. Natasha, what are you reading this week?
I am still reading Assistant to the Villain by Nicole Maehrer, and
nice.
I had just cracked the spine last week, and now I'm almost halfway through it. It's so fun and so good. And she made the #1 New York Times bestseller for paperback. So
amazing.
Congrats to her. Yeah.
Congrats.
Very happy for her, and it's super
That's
fun.
So exciting.
It's like a new adult, but I think it's in I don't know what section. I don't know if it's I don't think
is it a YA crossover?
It's like but not it's kind of like yours because she's like 23 in a sense, but then I don't know. I haven't really gotten to much spice yet, so I'm not sure how far that goes. But it's
Cool,
good. It's
cool.
all the things I love. So, what about
Good.
you? What are you reading?
I didn't get to bring Swordcatcher with me on my travels because I only have a giant arc and it's way too heavy to lug around. So I continued reading Georgie all along, which I started reading a long time ago. And I finally getting to parts where there's like a semblance of romance. So it got really exciting for a minute. And there was a kiss. And I was like, oh my God, yay! I've reached it. I'm getting to the part with all the tension, where the tension starts to crest. So. I'm excited to keep reading that now that something has happened between the two people because it's been a slow build. I'm like 35% into the book. So, I mean, I guess it's not that slow, but it's felt slow because the boy was so like reserved. And
Good.
so, yes, I'm excited to keep reading. What have you been listening to this week? Guts.
Just guts. Both of us.
Just
guts.
guts. Yeah, just guts. And we already talked about that. Have you used any new products lately that you want to talk about?
I just resubscribed to Newly. And that is a clothing rental service that is by Anthropology. And so it's, for me, it's worth it because it's like, I think they up their price to like $90 a month. But I had like a gift to use it from like Christmas. And, but you get access to all the different Anthropology, very expensive clothes, and you can rent them in 6 pieces for a month. And I don't think it's going to come in time for Forks. I'm a little disappointed by that. I know, because I ordered stuff specifically for Forks, but it's fine.
Oh my gosh, when people are listening to this, we are in Forks.
I know. We're going to be doing our live podcast.
We are. I mean, Friday, so it'll be Saturday, the live podcast,
Yeah.
but still, we're in Forks.
Yeah. But I love this. I love the system because there's like, especially if you have a trip coming up or you have like a wedding or something, they have really great pieces, and they go, most things go up to 3X. So like I am a 3X, so that, like if you're larger than me, it's kind of a little difficult and some things don't always fit, but I really like it.
Good.
Oh, Elise asks, wait, Natasha, how did you learn about Assistant to the Villain? Was it from her TikTok? Yes. I have been following Hannah for a long time because I really loved her her stories. And also she talked about all the fun tropes that I really loved, and I followed her there. So I've been following it for a while.
Cool. Product. Shit. Okay. Sorry. You want to ask me what products I've been using?
Yeah. What products are you using, Christine?
Well, the first floor of my apartment was overrun by ants last week. It was horrifying. I was literally got up, meandered downstairs, and I was making breakfast, and I turned to throw like the banana peel in the garbage, and the garbage was covered in tiny ants. And then I followed the trail across my entire living room all the way to the fireplace, where maybe if you've been here for a while, I think I talked about this, you might recall that I had ants earlier this year in the fireplace. And it went all the way to the fireplace and out the back door that stretches my entire apartment. Like there was a line. So I had to put out. So I've used these before and they work really well. These tarot traps for ants. So you have to put them out. But what happens before it gets better is that it gets worse. Like more ants come because you put out these baits and then they're like, oh fuck, there's so much food. Everyone come and get it. And like all of these ants, like the streams get thicker. And then like there's the wanderers that just go all across. They were like all around the perimeter of my carpet. So I was like, yes, eat the poison. But also I was like, ew, there's so many ants in my house. And I'm leaving to go to New Jersey tomorrow. Like it was horrible. So yeah. I left my landlord 4 emails and 1 voicemail about this situation, and I got no responses till I was at the airport at 9:30 p.m. the next night. And so I thank God, I have some friends that are neighbors, and one of my neighbors was able to let like an actual person in to spray the house. But those traps really worked. Like the following, like 24 and a half, 20, like maybe like 30 hours later, there was just a little tiny trickle. Like you would just see the random ant, which was so much better. And I've used these before, and usually I only need like one trap to murder them all, but since it was overrun, I had 15 traps.
Oh my gosh. I didn't even have 15.
15. Like a world. They created a world in my apartment. But anyway, they died because they brought all of the poison back to eat. And everyone ate it. But now it works really well, so I recommend those traps. And also, we talked about makeup in the last episode and primers. And I had a new Hangover RX primer that Natasha said she hated because it doesn't work, but I use it for years and it worked for me. And I had a new one that I bought last year.
Is that the Too Faced one?
It worked. Yes, it worked.
I liked that one.
Oh, you told me that it didn't do anything when we talked about it last week.
No.
Yes, you did. We can rewind the tape.
I liked it. Oh, I think that what I meant to say, I liked it for a while when I was younger, but now it doesn't do much for me.
Okay. Well, it definitely did more than not having it, you know? So
good.
I also used it today.
Step in a good direction.
So anyway, all right. We're going to move on into our main discussion. All right. Natasha, what is the first place on your list of places you've been?
England.
England. I think we both have England on our list here today.
Yes, I'm sure we have.
Tell me about England. So, how did England connect to your fandoms, and did it live up to the hype?
Yes. So the UK is the first place I ever wanted to travel to outside of the US, and most of the places I want to go are usually have to do with something book related, movie, TV related. My first place I traveled to was Scotland, and then in 2021 I took a trip to London, and I got to see all the things there. And now I realized as I was traveling, because I had this like 3 days in London and then I had like 4 days in the countryside, that I much prefer the countryside of England, because all the things that I watch when it comes to like historical period dramas, because that's one of my favorite, medias to consume, is something historical, and maybe the Regency era, or like the rolling hills. Everything is so green, and then there's like a little like castle and little villages here and there, and it's just so different than everything here in the United States. My favorite place I visited in London was Chatsworth House, and that is Pemberley. They used it as Pemberley in Pride and Prejudice, the 2005 movie version, and that was that like my dreams came true. I remember watching that movie when I was young. I was in 5th grade, so I must have been like 12 or something. And then in the DVD version, there was like, win a trip to Pemberley. And I remember looking at that and being like, oh, I want to go. And then as I kept watching the movie over and over and over again, I'm like, oh my gosh, I want to go here so bad. So then I finally did get to go, and it was so wonderful. And I just love the history, and also just being in the place that I watched for so long, and like living out a fantasy. And
are there any tips that you would give to people that you learned from going there?
I would say if you're like me, I mean, definitely, like, I think you should visit all of the historical sites, in London, in the city. But I loved getting out of the city. So I think my biggest tip is, yes, spend time in London, but get out of the city. Like, Christine and I went to Oxford. We went to Bath. I loved Bath. That's where they film everything in Bridgerton. Chatsworth House is like 3 hours north, and we drove. And that was so worth it. And then staying in little like bed and breakfasts, or staying like, and like I love staying in, you know, revamped castles. It's the best. Just get out of the city.
Bed and breakfasts are underrated. I feel like people think they're for couples, but like they're so convenient and they're so usually reasonably priced, a lot of them, and they're nice, and the people who work there are really nice, and they make you beautiful breakfast so you don't have to worry about breakfast in the morning. I would definitely say look for a bed and breakfast to stay in if you're going around the UK, because they're great and underrated. And there are people there that'll like help you find everything and know where to go while you're there and all that stuff.
Yeah.
So, all right. On my end, I have London down. And it's so weird how connected like the urge to go anywhere is to fandom, right? Like when I went to London, it was before was it before I had read? No, it wasn't. Okay. I had already started the Infernal Devices. So there was that. But I also looked at it as like, oh, I'm going to get to see like where the Beatles are from if I go to England. And also I'm watching all these YouTubers that live in England. So it was like the YouTube fandom is out there. And I was also like, Robert Pattinson is out there. Like all of these fandoms are connected to England. And it wasn't until I went back in 2015, where I actually went to Blackfriars Bridge, and it was just so cool to be there. Like we went under it, Natasha and I, when we were there recently, but I went to like the Blackfriars stop on the tube in 2015 and got out and went over to the bridge and took a picture. And it's just, you know, it's so beautiful to imagine your favorite characters were here, you know, and this is where they had these moments, and it means a lot to you if you've read the books, but if you haven't, it's kind of just a bridge, you know?
Yeah. Just a bridge.
It's just a bridge, but I definitely recommend going to London if it's a great starter travel spot too. I feel like for people, because especially if your native language is English, because it's kind of you start dipping your feet into, it's still a culture shock. Things are still really different, but you don't have to worry about a language barrier, and then you can like stepstone from there. But like there's also the Harry Potter experience, which is in England, which if you're a huge Potter fan, it is definitely worth going.
Yes.
It's magical.
It's magical. I cried.
It is magical. And I love when you go to London, just like walking everywhere. There's just so much that you miss if you're not walking everywhere, because it's very walkable. And I love walking through Hyde Park, going to the pubs, like make sure you go to the pubs and get pub food. I love doing the tube, because the tube is an experience in itself, and it's so easy now. You just get your Apple Pay set up if you don't have it set up already, and you just have to tap it. It's so simple, and you can get anywhere so easily, and then walk wherever from the station. You're always only like 10 minutes from a station by foot. It's great. Anyway, England is great. There's so much fandom stuff there. Doctor Who, if you like Doctor Who, like I don't know, just being in England.
Sherlock.
And Sherlock, like everything is out there. So highly recommend if you haven't done any traveling yet and you're super into fandoms. It's a very easy stepping stone into like more adventurous places. And then you can go into the countryside and down the UK to Penzance, to Bath, to all the places. It's really, really beautiful.
I also, I think my other tip is definitely visit castles, because that was my favorite thing to do in Scotland and in London. It's just like visit like the smaller castles too, not just what's the big one that the royals, the one in Slough. Why am I blanking on it? Windsor. Like, don't just go to Windsor and all that. Like,
Windsor's not that great.
Windsor was okay. Yeah. Like,
It was fine.
the smaller ones, or there's Blenheim Palace, which I really want to go to, or the one that they use in Downton Abbey too, which is always booked. It's hard to get to that one. Yeah. Rebecca's, I forget that castles aren't a normal thing in other places. We don't have castles.
Not in the U.S. There's no castles.
No. You guys have all the history. It's so cool. Like, just to think about how old things are, and I love British
bells.
I love British history. Like, there's so much that I know. And yeah.
All right, Natasha. Tell us what else. What's next on your list?
Oh, we have the same thing, which is our our Portland and Forks trip that we took in, what was that, 2016?
2016. Yeah. We went to Forks and to Portland, and we saw all of the Twilight things.
That was my dream trip for the longest time. I still look back on the trip, and it is one of my favorite trips I've ever done. It was just like I had been dreaming about it for ages and ages, about going to the filming locations, because if we didn't know, Twilight is filmed all in Portland, which is in Oregon, and that is about 3-4 hours away from Forks. So they did not film in Forks. And the Pacific Northwest is incredible, Gabby, and it's just a different world. It's, again, so green, and just being able to visit the locations that we saw our favorite characters like live in was just
we
like
got to
the ultimate fangirl
place.
moment.
Yeah, we ate where Charlie and Bella eat at the Carver. Is it like the Carver Cafe?
Yeah, the Carver Cafe.
In the movie. And that was just so cool. We got to like order breakfast there, and it was so good. Mm-hmm. And they have like Twilight shit everywhere. We went to the location where they filmed all of the stuff in the forest, like I Know What You Are. And like the lion fell in love with the lamb. And that was probably my favorite stop. Yeah. That was so cool.
I also loved there was the exterior of the school that we went to, and then they used a different school, I think the James Madison High School, for the interior shots. And they have now redone the entire cafeteria, so it doesn't look that way anymore. So we got to go before they had redone it. And
it doesn't look like that anymore. That's so sad. Yeah.
And we got visitor passes to walk around the school, and usually they had like people who were taking them to they had like teachers taking people to classes and see like where the biology class was, but they weren't available. And so we had walked over, because our friend Amy, it was me, Christine, and Amy had already done this, and she was like, okay, well, here's the cafeteria, but someone had left, and we had like slid in and gotten into the cafeteria, and school was done with, and we just got to like reenact all these scenes. I think that was my favorite part too.
That was so cool. We got to do like the slow motion walk through past the windows and into the cafeteria, like the Cullens. And we got to go to the greenhouse. See, like my biggest tip though, doing this Forks Washington trip. Oh my gosh, I'm losing my mind. This Forks Washington trip is to have an Amy with you who already knows where everything is and how to get everywhere, because there was just so much insider knowledge that would have made it so much harder for us to go to all these places in the amount of time that we got there. You know, we did all this in 2 days.
So efficient.
Yes. like so you either have to do like a ton of research, you know, and like map out your days if you want to do it all in 2 days, or you have to just give yourself enough time for like trial and error and finding places and like knowing where to be and all that stuff. Like, Amy knew everything. So we hit everything in just a day and a half, I feel like it was, right? Like,
I think it was like,
and it was all over the place. 2 full days. We also went to the waterfall that you see in the background
Multnomah.
of the baseball scene.
Yes.
It was so gorgeous. I loved that little hike too. It was beautiful.
Our friend Melissa has a full map if anyone ever needs it, and that's Melissa
Nice.
Rivette. What's your at Melissa on Instagram so we can just say it in a efficient way? But yeah, I like can't believe we had. Well, one, I was younger, so I don't remember being very tired. Aside from that one time where like we really wanted Starbucks, and Amy's like, "No, we gotta go." Melissa's at is finding joy in books, and there's a period in between the words. We'll leave it in the
finding.joy.in.books.
Yes. But I mean, we both have YouTube videos that like goes through the whole trip, and those are some of my favorite ones just to rewatch because so many memories. I like quote things from our own videos too from those books. I mean, from those movies, videos. Wow.
I always quote things from my videos. Those, obviously those as well. It was so cool. Then after that, we were in Forks. And then we watched the movie, and they were like, "Oh my God, we were here. Magical times, man."
This will be our third time going back to Forks, and Forks is different because it's the town where Stephenie Meyer took inspiration. I don't think she'd ever been to Forks too, by the way, before she wrote the books. No, I'm pretty sure she had not. Maybe she did. I don't know. Melissa, do you know? And but it's such a small town, and it's fun to La Push is amazing, and then Forks is you're just like, wow, this is where Bella went to school. Like this was her life. Like Portland's huge, like for the filming locations, but when you're actually in the town, you're like, okay, yeah, this is her life here.
Yeah. La Push is gorgeous, and if you go to Forks, you have to do one of the trails to La Push's third beach or first beach, I think, or second beach. There's 3. There's 3 trails.
Yeah, I think I think one is hard.
Third beach is the one we did the first time, and it was
the easiest
so
one.
Cool.
The shortest one, possibly. Third beach.
Third beach is not the shortest one.
Oh. Which one was the shortest one?
I think the first beach one is. We just went to first beach. It was just there.
Oh. Melissa says that fully prior to her writing, Stephenie did not go to Forks, but then she did go very early on in the writing process.
Cool. All right. What's next on your list?
Why don't you go first?
I mean, my next one is Charleston, and this is where Y'all Fest is held every year in Charleston. So I feel like I never get to fully appreciate Charleston, but it is so pretty down there. And I always think about like how gorgeous it is and what would it be like if I got to take an actual trip to just do Charleston instead of like having it as the backdrop of this festival. And like all of it's one of those cities where like everything is pretty and has like an oldish feel to it and like colorful, and it's like a college town, so there's this big college campus that's so gorgeous, and all of it looks like it's out of a fairy tale. It looks like it's out of the Vampire Diaries, but like in a good way, you know? Yeah, Katie says it's such a time travel city. Yes, it feels like going back into like the times where Elena was Catherine. Like that's what Charleston feels like. And the pictures we take there are always so pretty, and I always want to go back. And it reminds me of Boston in that way. Like Boston's also very pretty like that in the right areas. And I also didn't appreciate it enough while I was there, because I was there. It was like the backdrop to my college experience. So I wasn't like, oh, this town is cool. I was like, it's here. I'm here.
Did you ever go to Salem, like when you were in Boston?
No, I didn't. I never went to fucking Salem, which it's a crime. Like, I can't believe I never went, because I didn't have friends to like want to do anything with until my senior year. And then senior year, I was just like wanting to do everything, and I wanted to spend time with the people rather than like time going places that weren't like we were all rooming together, and it was the most fun ever. So I was like happy to do anything. But yeah, those are two places I would highly recommend going if you want like a local trip. Not local, like a trip in the United States. Like those are two of my favorite cities I've been to.
I've never been to Charleston. I don't think I've been to like that portion of the US yet. Like
East
I've
Coast.
I've been to Jersey, New York, Atlanta. I'm finally going to Florida this year. But I've never really been in between that. When I've been to Boston.
Boston is so gorgeous. I mean, Boston, I don't know if I have any tips except to like go to Newberry Street and go to Comm Ave and go to Noodle Street to eat great Thai food. And like just like walk around. I just like walking in cities is how you get to know the cities, how you get to feel the pulse of it, and what it's like on the day to day. And I love that. Like my favorite thing to do in cities is walk around, and you can't do that in LA. There's no walking here. What's next for you?
Okay, so next is Steveston in British Columbia of Canada. This is where they filmed Once Upon a Time. And I only did a day trip. So I was in Seattle and I had Amy and Sasha with me. And we had the whole weekend or the 4 days we were there, we were going to a convention. And I was like, guys, can we take the last day? We are like, I think Steveston is 4 hours north of Seattle. I don't remember. I have a whole video on my YouTube channel. And they film a lot in Steveston. So it's not just Once Upon a Time, but that is what meant the most to me. And when I went, it was kind of at the tail end of them filming, I think, the second to last season. So they still had all of the murals up, like Granny's was still Storybrooke. So Steveston, like that one street in that town, is the central part of Storybrooke. That is the main town in Once Upon a Time. And if you guys remember me from like 2013 to 2017, I was obsessed with Once Upon a Time. It was like my favorite show. I used to do like half season reviews and would dress up as the characters because the show has so many great costumes. And being able to go to Steveston while all that was still up, and like they even had the sign for Mr. Gold's, was everything to me. And I was so happy that I did it in that time. Like, you can still go and experience it. I don't know if the murals are still up, so it doesn't capture that magic. But the best part of visiting these little towns where things take place is that there's a bunch of stores that have merch or stories, and it's so fun to talk to the locals. That would be like my biggest tip is if like you want to kind of step back in time and hear from the locals, you can ask people their experiences, like during filming, like what would they do? And then, like, if they ever needed to film, they would close down the whole street, and then everyone would get paid like a stipend, like a couple $1,000s, I think, just to close down for the day or more. And it was like crazy that they would do that. Melissa says they haven't been since pre-COVID, but everything was down, and that wasn't long after filming. Yeah, it's kind of sad, like the murals aren't there. Like you can't experience Granny's as it was, but so fun.
All right. Then last place on my list today is Prague. The last place on my list today is Prague. And I went to Prague because I was invited to do a set visit for the Orlando Bloom show Carnival Row on Prime. And so this was so cool. I didn't plan to go. And it was weird when I got there. They're like, oh, we don't know any of the schedule. So you can go do things, but at any moment we might be like, come back, we need you. It's time to go to set. Oh my gosh. So it was so awkward, like, because we couldn't plan. They said I could bring someone. So I brought my boyfriend at the time, and we had never traveled together. So it was like very exciting. And I would like plan days, but we didn't know if like the day would actually be able to happen. But they have such a cool ass castle there in Prague. So you have to go to that castle. And if you've watched Spider-Man, the second one with Tom Holland, which is like
Far From Home?
Passport to Prague. What is it called?
Far From Home.
Far From Home. Passport to Prague. You've seen like a lot of the different just like landmarks there. There's this really famous bridge, and that's the bridge that he's on with MJ when they find the projector thingy. Like that's a famous bridge in Prague that we went and walked over. This is something that you probably wouldn't know off the bat, but there's a sewer museum there that is so fucking cool. You should go to the Prague Sewer Museum. There supposedly was a scene in Carnival Row that like where he's running through the sewer museum, but it's so fast I don't even remember it. But going to the sewer museum and walking through their fucking sewers and taking pictures in there was the coolest thing ever. And it's weird, but like hit that sewer museum. There's also like this wall called the Lennon Wall that just has like all this John Lennon art on it that you have to go see there. And there's this famous Old Town Square. And it's just a really, really cool, really old Gothic place that has all the vibes of like, you know, like dark fantasy and stuff because it's so Gothic looking and old. Again, there's this really old library there that you have to go see too. And you have to buy a ticket to go in there, and then you get to see it from like the outside. You don't get to go in it, but like there's like, you know, a big archway and you get to look at it, and it's been there for so long. If you love books, it just hits different. It's so cool. Yeah, highly recommend Prague. It's not like a place that I feel like gets much hype.
Yeah, I mean, you're right. It doesn't get much hype.
It doesn't.
I remember when you went, I was like, oh, that's cool. I don't know what to talk about because I have two very interesting stories.
Okay.
So, Christine, you pick. So I have Scotland or I have Turks and Caicos. Turks and Caicos doesn't necessarily have a bookish tie-in, though. So,
okay, you want to pull Scotland?
Yeah, I'll do Scotland.
Okay.
Okay, so my first abroad trip was to Scotland. The only other place in Europe I've been is Paris. I'm going back there in like a few weeks. Scotland was a planned trip that Sasha and I were invited on for Visit Scotland. It was technically a paid partnership, but we never got paid. It was very hard. Yeah. Well, like we had to mail our invoice to the office, and we were so young and dumb. We're like, how doth we mail this to a different country? It was really dumb. Oh
my gosh.
I know, but it's okay. Everything else was taken care of on the trip. And that was probably like the most fun part. The whole trip was planned, so it wasn't very stressful at all. And it meant a lot to me and Sasha because we loved Outlander. Like we were, you know, the Outlander lassies. We were obsessed. She was obsessed with Scotland, and then she had already been. And it was very fun for us to go and visit all of the Outlander places. And it wasn't just like visiting film locations. We also got to go to Castle Fraser, and that was so incredible because we spent just a whole day there on a private tour. And they also set up for us to meet the herbalist who on set of Outlander, and she taught us how to make like a solve, and we spent the whole day with her and had dinner.
What
And
to
she was
solve?
It's
what
like
kind of solve?
it's like an oil based solve. So we had melted, I think, like different kinds of oil, like coconut oil, shea butter, um, uh, that, and then we would then
Like
we
a
put
moisturizer.
yeah, and then we put this yellow flower in it. I can't remember what it was called. It was like Pertulia or something like that, and it has some healing qualities. You can put it on burns and things like that. And so that was super fun. We just got to talk to new
Potions
people.
class.
Yeah, we got to talk calendula. That's what it is called. Thank you, Charlotte. And it was a trip where we just met a bunch of people. Like we got picked up like from the train station by the main lady who does like the castle tours, and we drove around with the Outlander herbalist. Like it was so fun, and I was my first time in a different country, and I felt so I guess entrenched into the culture there. And the best part of it was when we went to Inverurie, and we got to stay in a castle, and they had redone a whole portion of it, and we got to stay there for 2 nights, and it looked like Pride and Prejudice in the morning because it was all misty and foggy, and it was outside of Edinburgh. Edinburgh is so amazing too, but yeah,
It
that was
is.
my favorite thing.
Yeah.
But if you go, definitely spend like a day looking at Outlander stuff, but then there's so many other amazing things to visit. And I still want to visit the Highlands. We went to
Don't
Inverness
miss
as well.
Edinburgh either.
Yeah.
Edinburgh is cray, especially if you're a Harry Potter fan. You just go and you're like, whoa.
Yeah, it's so
Because
gothic too.
Yeah, it all looks like the movies. And as a child, you just don't realize it's based off of a real place, you know?
Yeah.
And you go and you're like, what the heck? This looks just like Harry Potter. All right, let's talk about places you really want to go. I find it really interesting because like a lot of obviously our friends have gotten married in the past few years, and people for vacations, they're either like people who want to just sit on a beach and do nothing, or people who want to like see everything and go everywhere. And you're either one of these two people, I feel like, when you want a vacation. Like, I don't want a vacation on a beach from doing nothing. I want to go to all the historical places and see all the places and things. What kind of person are you?
Oh, you definitely had this conversation before. I'm a bit of both. I think if ever I get married, after that entirely hugely stressful situation, all I want to do is be in a resort and have someone cater to me. So I would love to be on a beach somewhere, or go to Greece and then like be on a beach for like 4 or 5 days to decompress and then do something. But I'm going to need that but I would much rather, as a vacation, go to places that it's going to enrich my life, you know.
Yeah, for sure. Like, whenever I think about going on a honeymoon, I'm like, I want to like go to Australia and go to like all the different things, or like go to New Zealand, or like, you know, I want to like go somewhere where there's lots of different places I want to see and like hike and like be entrenched in the nature. And I don't want to sit on a beach. Honestly, the idea of sitting on a beach stresses me out. I'm like, I could do this anywhere.
I'm a Pisces, and I grew up you grew up on the East Coast in water too, but I love the water. So I love being in a body of water. Like, that is my favorite thing to do of anything.
Yeah, I feel like I've been there and done that for so many times. I'm like, I could go home and do this.
Yeah. I feel like the best of both worlds would be Greece for me.
Yeah. Yeah, I like the idea of Greece too. Like, because there's so much history there I want to see, and there's all these beautiful beaches, so you can do both easily and not get stuck just like beach is the only option.
Mm-hmm.
Like if you go to like these islands in the Caribbean, a lot of time like the thing to do is beach. And like I don't want to beach.
My job is beach.
What is on your top 4 list of places you really need to go?
Okay, so I said Greece is number 1. That's the motherland. I am half Greek. I really want to just do all of Greece and learn about the history and go to like, I don't need to go to, I don't need to. I don't want to go to Mykonos. I don't want to go to all the tourist trap places. Like I want to go find little pockets that are also have incredible architecture and beautiful beaches, but aren't as populated. So that's my big thing. And I mean, the Greek gods and all that and figuring out where my family's from. We're doing that at some point. Do you want me to go next or do you want to share?
I can share.
Yeah.
Number 1 on my thing is, okay, I've been wanting to go to Hawaii to see all the fucking places they filmed Lost since Lost. And I have yet to go. And I know it's been now so long. Like if I'd gone back when Lost was still, almost just finished filming, there would have been lots more that I could see. I feel like Otherville was still there, like where the others lived, and like some of the plane crash debris. Yeah. I don't know if they kept that and they have it somewhere, but like I want to go to that waterfall where Kate and Sawyer go swimming. Like I want to see these places, and like I know it'll just mean so much to me to like be there in person because that show is like so important to me. And anytime I see someone else go there, I'm just so fucking jealous. I'm just like, why haven't I done that yet? And it's because it's disguised under beach.
I was gonna say that. I'm like, that's beach.
I just think of it as beach, and I'm like, but it's Lost. Like that is Lost, and I need to go. Lost is beach.
That's how I felt when I went to Turks and Caicos. I was like, wait, this is the Caribbean. This is Pirates of the Caribbean. Like, I should bring my Elizabeth Swann cosplay. Like, this is perfect.
Yeah.
Like, there are tropical places that mean a lot for, the bookish and movie
fandom.
things. But
yeah.
There's also the Jurassic Park stuff, too, in Hawaii. And when I went to Hawaii with my family in 2008 I think I was in 8th grade, we took a helicopter tour and they showed us all of that stuff, like the first waterfall where the helicopter lands, and so we got to see all of that, and that was amazing for my 13-year-old self.
Yeah, I want to do that too. I want to see all the Jurassic Park things as well. And another thing on my list is New Zealand, and Sarah went to New Zealand, and I know like a lot of the stuff we see, I think it's in the final Throne of Glass book. Like a lot of some of their adventures and stuff are based off of like places in New Zealand. And specifically, I want to see like those caves with like the glowing, like glowworms or something. I want to see those so bad.
I want to go to New Zealand because of Hobbiton and Lord of the Rings and all the places. Too. Oh my gosh, I want to go to Hobbiton so bad. I will be in New Zealand, hopefully, fingers crossed, for my friend's wedding. She's getting married in Hobbiton. So that'll be next year. So I'm hoping that all goes down and I can make it out there. But it's so far. It's a world's away.
It is very far. I also have Greece on here too, because I want to see all the temples, especially after reading Percy Jackson. I'm just like, I need to see all of this, and I need to see it now. But like, even after Hercules, I was like, and even after just learning about the Greek gods, I was like, where are these temples with like the 7 ancient wonders of the world? Like, I wanted to see those temples, like the Temple of Zeus, I think, is one of the 7 ancient wonders. Remember when you learned about those and it was like, oh my God, this is so cool. Yeah. But then you learned that like none of them are still standing except for the pyramids of Giza.
Yeah, I know. And like the Library of Alexandria. Like,
yes.
Oh
my gosh. It's like basically myth now.
I know. The next on my list is Italy, all of Italy.
Me too.
Particularly, I would love to go to Lake Como, and that's where they filmed Naboo with Padme in episode 2. And my friend Tay and Liam just went there, and I would just love to spend a whole lot of time there and also visit all the rest of Italy as well. But
yeah, I want to do all of fucking Italy. Like, I want to do, but specifically right now, I really want to go to Sicily. Like, I want, especially after watching The White Lotus, I was like, why haven't I been there yet? It's so fucking gorgeous. I want to do Capri. I think half of my family is from Sicily and half of it's from Naples up at the top. Or maybe it's from, one's from northern Italy and one's from southern Italy. And it's been a long time since I've gotten the spiel about it. But I think one was Sicilian and one was up near Milan. I can't remember if Napoli's up near Milan or not.
no, Naples is like near Venice, because I know, or Positano. Yeah, because you can fly in. Because I
It's
remember
down
looking.
there.
Yeah.
So maybe the southern half's from there, and I'm just getting obsessed with Sicily because I really wanted to go there for a long time. Sicily's at the very bottom.
Mm-hmm.
And I've wanted to go to Capri for so long. It's so pretty there.
Yeah. My last place would be Switzerland, and specifically like the little towns in the high mountains, because it's Akamath, it's Valaris. Like, I want to go there. It's also just gorgeous and something I probably haven't seen in a long time or ever.
Yeah.
And yeah, that would be, and I mean, literally anything like
Oh my
Switzerland, Austria, Germany, like all
Budapest.
Oh yeah.
I want to go to Budapest so bad, especially after reading Dan Brown's. I don't even remember which book it was now. Was it like the Dante one, Inferno? Oh, and I want to go to, oh my gosh, I want to go to Constantinople, which is
Turkey.
Which is Turkey. What is the main city in Turkey that I'm forgetting the name of?
Istanbul.
Right now? Istanbul. Oh my God, so bad.
The Turks and the Greeks. We don't like each other.
There's just so much history at Constantinople. Like, so many different religions have had that space. Yeah. And I want to go to that church. I want to see everything. So.
Yeah. Also, like, I would like to go to Jerusalem too, just to see like all the those sites that are in the Bible.
Yes.
Like, how freaking cool.
For sure. All right. I think that's going to wrap up our very loose travel discussion there.
Where do you guys want to go?
Yeah, let us know your top places. And if you've been to any of the places that we really want to go to, if you have any tips, please feel free to throw them at us. And we're going to move into Mary Kiss Cliff. Rebecca says New York. I mean, you have to see New York, but it's definitely not my favorite because I think I've been there too many times. And it's
you
so dirty.
Like, live there, yeah. Okay, Mary Kiss Cliff. I wanted to make this higher stakes, but we'll see. Okay, so we have Nesta, Bryce, and more. Who are you gonna marry? Who are you gonna kiss? Who are you
This
gonna
is
cliff?
hard because I don't really want to marry Nesta or Bryce. I guess Moore is my best option there.
Okay.
I'm gonna marry Moore. I will kiss Nesta and Cliff Bryce because I would never want to feel Nesta's wrath after cliffing her because she would not die and she would come and hunt me down and chop me into little pieces and then maybe like feed me to her birds that I don't know if she has them, but she'll find them to feed me to them. She'd become like a weaver.
Oh God. Okay, you're right. This is a little harder. You're right. Moore is definitely like the marrying kind, but my heart says Bryce. Okay, I really want to marry Bryce.
Bryce is just like all over the place. She's always doing stuff without telling you, and like it's big things that could like murder everybody. Ugh.
Fine. I'm going to.
No, go ahead, marry her.
I feel like we would work because we'd be doing our own thing all the time. Okay. Marrying Bryce. I'm gonna kiss more. And then I'm gonna cliff Nesta. Like, I mean, yeah, she would probably come back with a vengeance.
Get ready for Nesta.
But I got Bryce. She'll protect me.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't know. I just picture her like pointing. You. I will murder you. But fair.
I made my choice.
All right. Well, in chapter chat this week, we have chapters 19 and 20 of Akamath. Akamath's getting so fucking good. It's so hard to stop reading. Mm-hmm. Literally, chapter 20 ends on an enormous cliffhanger.
Mm-hmm.
Didn't I play this?
No.
All right. So, chapter 19 comes right after the bone carver. So we've just left off. They've left the prison. They winnow back, and Cassian and Az and more are all there waiting to hear how it went. And Feyre's basically processing the fact that she might be the only one who could wield the Book of Breathings. And she's realizing, like, oh, Rysand, you wanted me to learn to read because you already suspected that I'd be able to read the Book of Breathings. And she wants to know in the future what his real motives are behind everything. And he's like, well, you should have been able to learn to read anyway. Like, everyone should be taught to read. So, and the Book of Breathings could be in any different language. So it's not like it's a direct correlation here. But the Book of Breathings, one half of it is with the human queens. So he comes up with this plan that Feyre is going to be his new like head of human relations between his court and the humans, and they're going to make the hold up one second. Yeah, they're going to try to hold a summit, and they're going to use the Archeron Manor as their headquarters. Mm-hmm. So Nesta and Elaine are about to get involved in this shit. She's like, how can I drag them into this? But she has to drag them into this because basically the world is at stake here. And Hybern raided one of the temples in Rysand's land to get one of the 3 feet of the cauldron. And he's going to take this as an act of war, Rysand. So they're planning now to take Hybern down and using that as their like reasoning. Now he has an excuse to like go to war with Hybern because he raided one of those temples politically. And they also have to get, okay, I'm explaining this all backwards because I'm tired. But okay, the Night Court is going to go to war with Hybern based off of the excuse that he raided one of their temples. And Rysand's upset because he's like, Hybern clearly didn't try to woo me in any way. And one of either Az or Cassian is like, well, he probably heard about what happened under the mountain, how you tried to kill Aramantha, basically, which Aramantha is one of Hybern's people. So he knows that he's against him. So he doesn't care about raiding his temples. And they need both halves of the Book of Breathings. The Book of Breathings can nullify the cauldron, okay? Or it can be used to control it. There's 2 halves. One half is in the Summer Court. One half is with the queens. Now we're going to take care of the queens by holding this summit at the Archeron Manor. Hopefully, Feyre can convince them to give her the Book of Breathings instead of giving it to the King of Hybern. And the other half is in the Summer Court, and Az is like, hey, I can send my spies to go figure out where it is. And Rysand's like, no, don't do that. We can't risk anything. And Az is a little insulted. He's like, you can trust my people. And Rysand's like, this is too important. We can't risk anything. We have to keep this very close to the chest. So basically, the next step here is going to be to test Feyre and see if she can use her abilities to sense the Book of Breathings. And to test her, he's going to use an object that is his, that the Weaver has. Now, because Feyre was made using a drop of power from every single one of the High Lords, she basically has, like, I don't know how many High Lords there are, like 6 different or 12 different
7
fingerprints.
Yeah.
7 different fingerprints. He uses the example of a fingerprint, and she has like all of their fingerprints. So she should be able to sense their magic, any of their magics, and like unweave any of their magics. Like there's going to be wards around the Book of Breathings at the Summer Court, but hypothetically, because her magic matches the person who made the wards, Feyre should be able to get through those wards. But they'll have to, of course, teach her how to do all these things. And so they're planning their first test to see if she can sense Rysand's thumbprint, by retrieving an object that the Weaver has that is his. And so she goes to sleep, and he wakes her up in the morning. He's like, it's time to go. And he like, her underwear drawers open or something, and he like pulls out one of her lacy-ass thongs.
He's like rifling through like all of her stuff. He's like, here, get ready. He's like throwing things at her. And then he like opens up a drawer, and there's like all these lacy things in it. He's like, wow, I thought you would have like bullied more to get you something different.
Yeah, or no, the 2 women who dress her. He's like, I can't believe you didn't ask them for different underwear. I feel like he's just trying to calm her down and keep her head from getting too panicked about what she's about to do. As we see, like, he like kneels down to strap on a knife. Is that what he's doing? And he's like, later on, he's like, did you like seeing me kneeling before you?
Yeah, that's in my chapter.
And okay, that's your chapter? Okay. And yeah, so he tells her that for the Weaver, you can only use a knife. The Weaver is blind, but her other senses are extremely heightened, and she has knives in her little cottage, but she won't notice if a knife enters it. But if any other weapons enter, she might sense them because it's a disturbance. And Feyre should be invisible to her because she was made with all their magics or something. And yeah, basically I think that's where it ends. We end up in the forest it's a line that divides North and South Perithian. That's basically a free-for-all. It's ruled by whoever's the strongest and most cunning, and that's the Weaver. And during the Under the Mountain times, it was untouched because Aramantha knew not to mess with the Weaver.
This is mine. This is my chapter, so you can stop.
Oh, okay. You go ahead and take over.
So yes, so they winnow into this like wood that is older and more aware than anywhere that she's ever been. Sarah described it as beech trees, like those like white-ish trees wrapped in moss and lichen. The territory is like, this place is east. So it's like east, so it's east of the neutral territory. So it's, I think it's probably like right under the Night Court-ish kind of area. And like Christine said, there's no High Lord. It is only ruled by the strongest, and that is the Weaver. And I don't know if we mentioned, but the Weaver is blind, and that there's laws to protect her the Weaver from the High Lords because her wrath is so great. So they have sent many sentries in there to reclaim some of the things that she has stolen, and they've never really been able to come back. And then because if they divulge which High Lord has sent them, then that'll be that'll come down on that High Lord. And if a High Lord gets caught in there, there's no one who can come and get the High Lord or whoever it is. Yes, and then Amarantha did not touch any of the creatures. Even she knew. Reese tried to get her to, and she was like, nope, I'm not touching that place. And of course, this is where Reese is sending Feyre as a test. And so he's trying to like flirt with her to distract her.
But
So
also-
what?
Yeah, but also he like mentions Cassian. It feels like a
Cassian,
test
yeah.
to be like, do you like me? He's like, Cassian can satiate your physical needs if you need that to heal.
And then she's
like,
well,
so annoyed.
Yeah, she's so
Yeah,
annoyed, and
she's
she's
like
just playing back and forth. She's like, send him to my room afterwards.
Yeah, she's like, tell him to come up, and he's like, I'm sure he'll be happy to assuage you.
What is happening? Feyre teases him. She's like, oh, so I'm sure you're gonna be pleased that I won't pass this test. But he's like, no, that's quite the opposite, because obviously he's very concerned. And he plays it off. Anyways, and then Reese teases.
Well, because sorry. Finish your thought there.
No, well, Reese teases again about the kneeling in front of her. He's like, did you like it when I kneeled in front of you?
Yeah. Yeah, and the thing is, what we find out, I feel like in the next chapter or something, that this is all like a test that his mother set up for his potential mate to make sure that they're worthy of him. So like, if she gets the ring, then like she's a worthy match for him via his mom's judgment.
Mm-hmm. That is not spelled out to us, but as this is a reread, we do know that this was that test.
Yeah, this is that test. This test is twofold or threefold. It has lots of different reasons behind it.
So
I don't think his friends know either. Like they don't know that.
Maybe Moore does. I don't know.
Maybe, yeah.
So the house is in view, and it looks very inviting. It's like a place that you would find shelter. And there's this pretty humming coming from the inside. So Feyre steps inside, and the Weaver is sitting there at her little spindles, very Rumpelstiltskin of her.
Yes.
And she's singing like, two sisters went to the sea to see their father's ship. The elder pushed the younger in, and sometimes she sang blah, 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 blah. Anyways, I thought it was interesting.
It's kind of about Feyre.
Yes, I was thinking that. I'm like, this is Feyre and Nesta.
Yeah.
Yeah, Gabby said some Hansel and Gretel shit. Definitely, that's what I was thinking too. But instead of candy, this bitch is weaving like fur and hair and things into yarn.
Human parts.
Human parts. Disgusting. And there is just a wall of thread of different colors and different textures on the opposite side. And this woman or person, whatever they are, is a hoarder, a fantastical hoarder of just crap. So Feyre is like keeping her eyes on her, and it's like tick, 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 tick. The time's going by. Like she gets inside unnoticed. She's weaving around the different whatever is in the house, and she's like, I can't spot Reese's object, and her time is running out. And then suddenly she feels a beacon, and then she follows the beacon, and I just imagine her like weaving through kind of like, you know, in Harry Potter in the room of requirement.
Exactly, in the room of requirement.
Yes.
Exactly that. Like going through all the crap, and like in the movies, Harry can like feel and hear the Horcrux, and that's what it feels like.
That's what it feels
for her looking for this ring. Yeah, the tiara.
Oh, and I wrote down, this feels like an episode of The Witcher, like if this was like a requirement, but a little older with The Witcher. So I had all those vibes reading this.
Exactly.
So she finds it. It's a ring. It's twisted strands of gold and silver, and there is a 6-pointed star. There's like or somewhere there's a 6-pointed star, and then there's a.
This is the ring that I got you and broke, right?
Yes.
Yes.
Yeah, Hebel designed a
Pebble
ring.
Designs had it. But it broke.
It did. One of the stones fell out. There's like 2 stones on it. One was sapphire, the other was diamond or something.
It's like pearls.
Yeah. And at this point, she then is thinking about the knife, and then she thinks about how she's going to stab Race out of spite. And this brings back a bunch of memories from under the mountain. And then I think that kind of sends her on a spiral, and she's not really thinking, and she plucks the ring from the shelf, and the Weaver goes silent. And that is our cliffhanger.
Literally, I was like, you've got to be fucking kidding me. That's the end of the chapter.
I kept reading. I was like, no, fuck this shit.
Shit gets wild.
Shit does get wild. It is, her escape is something else. I completely forgot. It is disgusting too.
All I remembered was the chimney, and I was like, I don't know what's going to happen with the chimney, but I remember chimney. So look forward to that next week. Or, the week after next week, because next week's our Twilight special. It's your last chance to send in Twilight hot takes for our Twilight special, because we're going to be recording it live this Saturday. So we've gotten a bunch of great ones, but please send in yours. We can always use more, because when you add up the ones we gotten, I don't know how many there are, but we're going to be asking people on the spot for their Twilight hot takes, and I know those aren't going to come as quick because people always need time to think. So we need to like open with y'all's.
Yeah,
Twilight
we'll
hot
probably
takes.
put something. I think we should probably put like an Instagram post up asking for them.
Yes.
Maybe.
Yes. Yeah.
Yeah. Melissa, you can have yours ready on Saturday, because you're going to be able to come up and speak into the mic.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. If you guys are going to be there, like, that's going to be so fun. Just have them ready, and then you can tell it to us.
Write them
in
down
person.
in your notes. Yes. And then it'll be like, whoa, we haven't even read it. It's going to be a fun time. So that's going to wrap up our show for today. We are, going to be enforced while you're listening to this, so it's too late to come see us there. Sam, if your social anxiety says no to speaking into a mic, just email us your hot takes. We got you.
Yeah.
And maybe we'll have like some papers there, like index cards. Maybe we should bring, so that people can write down their hot takes and just give it to us if they don't want to speak into the mic.
Yeah.
And we can read them off. So don't worry, we have solutions there. But all right, before we wrap up, I want to remind you that my book 3, Attached at the Hip, is available for pre-order now, and it comes out May 21st, 2024. The link is in the show notes. All right, our show is edited by Alex Polis and Jake Needham, with music by Cole Jenkins and vocals by Heather Troska. My name is Christine.
And my name is Natasha.
And we release new episodes every Friday. We're off to go record Fangirl Tea Time, which is available at the $5 Patreon level and up. And our Patreon is also linked in the show notes. Thank you all so much for joining us. We'll see you next time. Bye.
Bye.